All right, joining me now, Brian Sussman. He is the author of Eco-Tyranny, How the Left's Green Agenda Will Dismantle America. Chris Horner, Senior Fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute, author of Power Grab, How Obama's Green Policies Will Steal Your Freedom and Bankrupt America. And GBTV's own local global warming expert, Stu Burguiere, who, how many years ago, Stu, did I put you in charge of this?
That was around the time Gore's movie came out.
Yeah, and I said, I don't care about Al Gore at all. And
you tortured me and made me watch it.
Right, and you are a statistical kind of guy. You read all the stats, and you were afraid when I went to the Al Gore movie. Remember?
Well, I didn't want you to be, won over by his nonsense. At the time, I mean, it seemed like everybody was being won over by it. And, you really have to really look into it deeply, and that's why I think it's such a popular argument, because on the surface, everyone loves the Earth.
And you know that if I thought it was true, I would have said so.
Yeah.
And I went to it, and I said to Stu, I told him not to influence me beforehand. I went to him, and I said, if these things are true, we have to be on that side. And then we went through the stats little by little. And I think, Chris, that's the time we called you. Mm-hmm. I told you before we went on the air, I think you're the longest-running truth teller guest on my show. You've been on CNN, you've been on Fox, and you've been on this program. Mm-hmm. Consistent the whole time in saying the brave truth. And you also help piece it together, and it's complete nonsense. Now let me get to you. This is a global agenda that doesn't strike me at all as science, but all about control.
Totally about control. We all want clean air. We all want clean water. Stu said, we all love the Earth. I mean, this is our home. But the left has been using this climate scare since 1883 to try hammer capitalism, destroy free markets, and especially target the United States of America. 1883, first guys to proclaim a climate disaster because of mankind's pollution, Frederick Engels and Karl Marx, 1883.
Holy cow, what was the claim?
Well, they said that, this was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
And they saw the smoke and they said, we hate capitalism. Look at the Industrial Revolution. Look at all of this smoke. Maybe the smoke will go up into the sky, block the sun, bring about another ice age, and destroy all species on the planet, because they always believed that mankind was a population bomb. So this was their big theory, 1883, dialectics of nature.
That has been the big thing, one way or another, that man is the enemy. That man is, in the 1960s, I did this weird interview with William Shatner. Anybody see that it was bizarre. He said he watches me every day, he said, because you're like watching a fire. Just watching a house burn down to the ground. And he told me, he said, you don't believe in population control. And I said, no, I don't. He said, the population bomb. And I'm like, hello, Mr. 1968. It's the same story over and over again.
It's always been, well, a guy from Chicago, I think his name was Saul, indicated that the issue isn't the issue. The issue is a vehicle. It's an excuse to do what we want to do. And this is the one they'll ride until they can't. It's always been about people. With a footnote, it's always been about other people. Okay, they don't show much leadership on this front. It's always depopulation, population bomb, etc. But it's this Malthusian business that we're always going to outstrip our resources, ignoring how resourceful man is. However, obsessed with this idea, first of, as you said, control. This is the left's long-held desire for industrial policy, what we call picking winners and losers. And it's wedded to the environmentalist long-held desire for scarcity, energy scarcity. And it's wrapped up in this economic baby talk about, well, if we can design, if we make you do, make, or destroy something, you'll have to hire somebody to do it, so that's good for the economy. But ultimately, it comes down to people, and it's always other people. And in fact, there's a new movement out called the Club for Degrowth. It's the World Wildlife Fund, which is the only organization that sells an annual end-of-the-earth report with a subscription card for next year's issue in the back. And they've got the Club for Degrowth, and they say it's not what it sounds like. And then you read it, and they say you have to reduce the size of your economy by 2/5. But we're not talking about not growing. We're talking about a responsible way of growing by shrinking. And it always comes down, there's just enough of them, way too many of you and me.
And that's really the only proven way to reduce emissions is complete economic catastrophe over a long period of time. And, you know, World Wildlife Foundation is an organization that I went into like a FedEx store the other day and got copy paper, and part of my copy paper purchase went to the World Wildlife Foundation.
But you know what? That all comes from scare tactics. It all comes from scare tactics. We are so, as a people and the companies, they're so good at surrounding these companies that if they don't do it, they're just like, you know what, just make these people go away. Just make them go away. And so we're funding them. You go and you buy that copy paper, you're funding these people who want to stop all energy.
Sure. Well, that's social equity, and that's being tied to sustainable development. So it's use the environment and use these phony baloney junk science issues as an opportunity to transfer wealth. You know, maybe it's wealth to the World Wildlife Fund. Maybe it's our wealth to a third world country. Maybe it's our wealth to a poor community. But that's what this sustainable development thing is all about.